Good morning and welcome to TMS Book Club. My name is Sewela Langeni from Book Circle Capital. We're an independent bookshop that focuses on African literature. I'm honored to discuss the book Soul of a Nation, A Quest for the Rebirth of South Africa's Values by Oyama Mabandla. Oyama is a lawyer, business executive, and now author. Good morning, Oyama, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, Sewela, and thanks for having me here.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned in the book that the book was birthed out of you attending a book launch in 2021, where you realized that there was a generational divide in understanding what, the events of 1994 and how we came to be in this democracy. Explain a little bit about that.
I think, Sewela, things are not going right with our country.
Yeah.
They've not been going right for a while. We had state capture, and then we had COVID.
Yeah.
We now have power outages.
Yeah, the economy is slowed down.
We have logistical, log jams. The Republic is not in a good place.
Correct.
And what do people normally do when they are not happy? They find a scapegoat. The scapegoat now, in this case, becomes the 1994 breakthrough.
Yeah.
The Constitution and all that goes with it. Because in the view of many people, things haven't gone right in spite of that. So how do you call it a breakthrough? And how do you laud this Constitution when we're going hungry? And Mac was trying to explain how it got there.
Okay.
And you could tell that people were not actually interested in the history.
Yeah.
They want to know what could be done.
How do we fix this now?
How do we fix this right now? Yes.
Yeah.
So out of that, or what happened in 1994 was half full.
Okay.
I think most young people see it as half empty.
Yeah.
And I think what is forgotten is the fact that this was a settlement.
Yeah.
In a settlement, you don't get everything you want.
Yeah. It's not a
Settlement is not perfect, but perfectible.
Okay.
But this takes work, To get to that perfectibility, it takes work. And it may take an intergenerational, trajectory before it happens. This joint is not going to be fixed tomorrow.
Yeah.
Took 300 years of dispossession and oppression, wars and exclusion. 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah.
Is not enough to fix all of that.
So you've written a book, and I suppose, what do you then want, especially young people in South Africa who find themselves disillusioned? You mentioned some of the challenges, including high unemployment rate. What do you want them to take away from the book?
I want them to take away from the book the fact that these things are fixable.
Okay.
When people sit down, when we're in a crisis, and this is something from our African tradition, and from other traditions. When there is a difficulty, people sit down and converse and try and find solutions.
Yeah.
I think after 30 years, we can do a measure. Have things worked? And I think there are things that have worked, but a lot of things haven't worked, which is why about 70% of South Africans, in some poll I read, are not happy with the direction of the country. And in fact, this is also reflected in voter participation. If the statistics are to be believed, only 30% of eligible voters, cast their votes. That tells you that they are not interested in politics.
Voter apathy is high. Yeah.
Voter apathy is high, but it means they have lost faith in voting and politics as a lever for transformational change.
Yeah. You mentioned that in chapter 15 of the book, you talk about how we need to leverage our spiritual resources. What do you mean by that?
I look at the struggle for freedom in this country as a spiritual enterprise.
Okay.
When people transcended self, there was something higher than the self, that propelled them, to put themselves at risk, going to prison, dying, exile, you name it.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be stopped. I think that was a spiritual, phenomenon.
Yeah.
I know the material conditions are different.
Yes, because it's hard to tell people that while they're hungry, right? Yeah.
Well, also, it's hard, I think, to rebel against something that is amorphous.
Yeah.
You know, we could rebel against apartheid. It was clearly defined.
Yeah,
it was in
the
the law
enemy
and
was
everything.
clear, yeah.
Yes. Now you have a situation where you've got a constitution that promises all kinds of things, but at an implementation level, and because of other things, including corruption, you know, this country has been gutted of its potential.
Yeah.
So I would want, at the end of this thing, to urge that we sit down and revisit the Pact of 1994. What can be fixed with it, and what needs to be discarded?
Yes, in the book you actually purport that we should be able to choose our own representative, not choose a party that then chooses a person that we may not necessarily be aligned with.
I think one of the central things I'm trying to suggest is that, you know, democracy belongs to the people. This country belongs to the people, not parties or anything. So if as citizens we yield this space by not engaging, by not voting, we will get exactly that, in a sense, we have engendered.
Yeah.
So we want civic participation politically, and you know, one of the things I've said is that I see there was this hot, you know, energy coming out of what was called the Fallist movement. I don't know what happened to that. I would have wanted to see those people leading the ANC, leading the EFF and the other parties, or forming their own parties. I don't know what has happened to that spirit.
Yeah.
And I'm comparing with what happened in 1944. Nelson Mandela and his colleagues, Tambo and them, freshly out of Forte, the claims, the political claims that have been radicalized by the war, they formed the ANC Youth League. And with it, the program of action. And it is the program of action that drove the ANC to their pages.
And you're calling us to that spirit.
I'm calling us
through the book.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, Oyama, for your book, and thank you for being here. You've heard it here on TMS Book Club. Let us go back there and revive that spirit. And one of those ways we can do that is through books. This book is available at Book Circle, Capital, and other good bookstores nationwide. Thank you.